What's up, everybody? Hey, my name's TJ McClelland. I'm with Fitness Realty. We are teaching a rental property class right here, right now. And if you guys ever want to come to our 4-part mini series, we teach it in our office in Murray. And right now is the rental property class. Next month is going to be the mortgage class. And then after that, our first time home buyer class, and then our home seller class. So, real quick, top to bottom, the first time home buyer class is amazing if you don't have a house yet. The seller's class is how you get top dollar for your home. And then the rental property class, which is tonight's, is all about how to get your first rental or why rental properties are amazing. And then lastly, we have a class all about mortgages. So you can find out how to get fundable or bankable and make sure you can get your first house or your next house or your first rental property or your second rental property. All right, let's keep moving. So obviously, like I said, my name's TJ McClelland. I've done over $127 million in closed transactions. Right now, I have 2 personal rentals, so I'm carrying 3 homes right now as just me. And that part, I like to kind of highlight that because I was in the same position as a lot of people where they think that they cannot carry more than one mortgage at the same time, or they think that there's not a possibility of owning more than one house at the same time. So I'm here to tell you right now that it is possible for you to own more than one house at the same time, and I have 3. So if you want to come and learn from me, from my personal experiences, come on down and take a look. I've helped over 10 clients get into their first rental property, and then some of those have actually snowballed and they're in their second. Some of them are in their third rental property. So there are some amazing things that we can teach you, and this class has a lot of that we're going to show you. Let's see. We're here to make managing your rental properties easier than finding a matching pair of socks in the laundry. Yeah, I guess we're going to try to do that. So this is the agenda. We're going to be talking about why to invest in rental properties. We're going to talk about preparing your property for rent, setting the right rent price, finding quality tenants, which is actually pretty insane. We'll have some horror stories in there. Maybe it just remind me or write it down in the comments down below if I forget. The rental process, we're going to definitely go over that. There are so many different avenues to go with that, so I've tried to keep it really short and sweet for you. This class should be under an hour, so I'm going to try to ramble through it as fast as possible. And since this will be on YouTube, you guys can stop, rewind, go back, and check it out. Lastly, we're going to have our Q&A session. That whole process for Q&A session, we leave that in the classroom here, so people here could be asking a lot of questions. I'll cut the video for that, but if you guys have questions anytime during this video, please put those in the comments down below, and I will get to those questions as well. So why don't real estate agents trust stairs? Because they're always up to something. That makes it sound shady. All right, the benefits of being a landlord. So obviously the very first benefit that we like to talk about is passive wealth generation. There are a ton of people that will tell you that the passive wealth is super easy, it always comes in, there's never any issues. And if you talk to your share of landlords, then they will tell you that's not the case. So it is passive in the regards of you're pretty much hiring somebody to live in your house and to eat, sleep, work, and pay your rent. But there are a lot of issues with that make it not passive. So some of those might be rocky tenants. Some of them might be pay portals where the income and the rent doesn't actually make it to your bank account on time. Some of it might be making sure that the property gets upgraded or repaired. You might receive those 2 o'clock in the morning phone calls with the plumbing issues and things like that. So there are a ton of things that are not passive about this, but this is one of the only avenues where you can actually have somebody that's working for you that is not a W-2 employee. They are your tenants. And then obviously building wealth. We're going to get into that building wealth sector a little bit, but a little quick synopsis of it is there are 4 ways to make money in rental property. There's lots of ways to make money in rental property, but the 4 ways that I like with long-term buy and holds is an acronym called YADA. YADA is YADA. So the first one is the Y. That is the yield. So that is your cash on cash return on investment. The second one is the amortization, because you are pretty much hiring somebody to pay your mortgage, and you're going to pay that mortgage, and that principal continues to get paid down. That's the amortization piece. The D stands for depreciation, because you are going to take tax write-offs against your income, and that helps your net worth grow much faster than it would if you had to pay extra in taxes. Lastly, the last A is for appreciation. It's amazing. Obviously, the US government is going to continue to spend money, and so we will have appreciation in assets that are against the dollar. All right, so I kind of touched on depreciation for the tax benefits, but honestly, if you are a person that only is filing your W-2 income, you could benefit from having a rental property, and that would be an amazing thing for you. I have some ways to show some numbers that would show you how much of a benefit that the rental property can be. Then property appreciation, like I said, that last A in the YADA method, so yield, amortization, depreciation, and appreciation. So that property appreciation, if you go back and you do the long haul for homes, they've appreciated over the last 100 years about 3% per year. That's pretty conservative. As you guys know, every single market in the US or any market in real estate is kind of like a hyper localized market. There can be stuff that's happening that kind of make it go up really fast, down really fast, stagnate, lots of stuff like that. But as a law of large numbers, about 3% growth year over year in homes for the last 100 years. Now, obviously, if you take the last 5 or 6 years and inject COVID and all of the money that was printed during COVID, then the numbers get a little skewed. So what we like to show is conservative 3% annually, but you guys can run your own numbers on your rental property calculator, and you can adjust for 5, maybe 6%, depending on what the US government is doing at the time. All right, why become a landlord? Because it's the only job where your income can literally take a nap while you make money. I would argue there's some other avenues out there, but this one's a pretty good one. All right, fun fact break. Did you know the average landlord has 3 properties? I guess I'm average. Oh, I guess I'm below average right now because I have 3, but I want to have 3 rental properties. So I'm actually working on pushing that to get to my next one. And then the average landlord income, I pulled this straight off of Google, is $97,000. The rental properties and how they make money for you, I don't know if they were taking in regular income or only rental property income, so don't quote me on that. I'm certainly not making $97,000 from my rentals right now, but we are having our net worth grow pretty rapidly with all 4 of those pieces that I was talking about. All right, preparing your property for rent. So you're going to have necessary repairs, right? If you're living in your property right now, that potentially could become your first rental, which is one of my favorite ways to do that. I did buy my first rental way far away from Utah, and then my second rental is the way I kind of talk and teach about it here in Utah is turning your primary residence into your first rental. And how you do that really quick before we talk about necessary repairs is you take your primary residence that you used maybe an FHA loan for, a VA loan potentially, a conventional loan that had low down payment financing for it. Whatever the case may be there, you're already into that primary residence. You already understand the payment that is in there. And you can make sure that you know the numbers and you already know everything about that house. So it makes a great investment as a rental property because you know a lot about it. So you don't have to go and trust some seller somewhere that's like, oh, this is going to be a great rental property. And you're like, well, I don't know anything about that property. You already live in your primary residence, so this one could be a great one. So you take your primary residence and you get a lease on your primary residence with the intention that you're going to move to this next house. and you get another mortgage on this next house with FHA financing, conventional, VA loans, and some of those might not make any sense. Come to the mortgage class. I will teach you everything about it. But you literally move from your primary residence to the next home and turn your first one into your first rental. And that is a great way to get your first rental property. But for the necessary repairs, so long story short, to kind of go full circle on that, since you live in the home, you know the things that you haven't fixed. Every home has maintenance that needs to get done, and some of it is maintenance that we've kind of pushed under the rug. Most likely you're going to need to get that maintenance accomplished with before you can get a tenant in there. And so you might have necessary repairs to turn your first home into your first rental. Safety and compliance checks. There are a lot of different regulations for housing a tenant that are different than just living in a home that is for yourself. So if you don't want to get smart all about those tenant regulations, hire a property manager that is familiar with all those tenant regulations, which is something that I highly recommend. Staging for rental showings. If you hire a property manager, they will probably walk you through that whole process. Or you can use some of our tactics that are from our home seller class. There's a lot of good information. Oh, excuse me. There's a lot of good information in there all about that as well. Preparing a rental property is like preparing for a first date. You've got to clean up, fix the little things, and make sure it's looking its best. Oh, that's all right. That's pretty good. I remember my first date with my wife. I was probably looking terrible. Okay, setting the right price. As you guys know, in any market, in sales, setting the right price goes a long way. If the price is too high, nobody comes around, nobody looks at it, you sit stagnant for a long time. And sitting stagnant in a rental property is horrible. That is just money that you are not bringing in, and you're having to pay out either utilities, your mortgage payment, everything starts to snowball on top of you. So you can't let that sit for very long, or most people can't. So you need to get a tenant in there. So setting the right price is super important. A couple things that I like to recommend for setting the right price is we use a program called rentometer.com. You can just type that in right now and check it out. Rentometer can help you find the average price, below average price, and above average price so that you can kind of decide where you want to start inside of that range. It's a really useful tool. It can definitely help you set the range or set the price for your rental property. A second way that we like to set the price or go and make sure that we have the right price is we go to KSL and we just look at all the rentals that are in our same area, and we kind of see which ones look similar, how long they've been on the market. If they've been on for a long time, we need to set a little bit lower than that. But it also comes down to how aggressive you have to be on that rental property, because you might be able to be less aggressive because you can sit on it and wait. Or maybe you have to be super aggressive and you need to undercut everybody because you've got to get somebody in there next week. So there's a lot of factors that go into that. And I've been on kind of both sides of that, which is super fun. So if you have questions about that, write them in the comments down below and I'll tell you my stories. But a couple of things with the price. One, if you set the price and you get no action, you're too high, or you're not marketing the property very well. But if you stick it on rentler.com or KSL or Facebook Marketplace, most likely you'll get some eyeballs on it. But if the price is too high and you get no traffic, you're just too high. So bring the price down. If you set the price and you get some walkthroughs, but nobody really taking the bait, I shouldn't say that, they are not interested in applying for the rental, then you probably have the price close. And then if you have probably 10 to 15 applicants all at the same time, then your price was probably too low. But I wouldn't say that the price is too low necessarily, because you could be looking for a certain type of tenant. And when you have 10 to 15 people to choose from, then you can select the tenant that best fits your needs for the rental property. All right, now market comparisons. Like I said, with Rentometer, I would jump on there. I would just type in the address of your rental property, and it will spit out those price range brackets that I was talking about. If you pay for the Pro account, then you can download their Pro little pamphlet that shows you the comparables that they used. If you don't want to pay for a pro account, message me and I will put the address in for you and send you the pro account version and you can check it out for yourself. So free service for you. All you have to do is message me. I'll take care of you. Avoiding overpricing, like I said in the very beginning, if you're too high, you're going to go nowhere. A rental property at $2,000 for market rent, sitting for 4 months vacant, that's $8,000 that you're leaving off the table or on the table, however you want to look at that. But it's money that is not going into your pocket. If you can afford to have your property sit and lose $8,000, yeah, that's a great position to be in. You must be very, very wealthy, and I give you one of these. However, I'm in a position that I cannot sit and wait for it to go $8,000 in the hole. So I like to get my properties rented out much quicker than that. All right, pricing your rental is like cooking. If it's too high or too low, someone's going to get burned. Huh, that's weird. Okay, so finding quality tenants. This is a huge to-do, and the wrong tenants in your rental property can crush your return on investment very, very quickly, right? If you are in a rental property or your rental property is only making $100 a month in pure cash flow, you're making $1,200 a year, and every time you have a tenant move out, they have to do brand new carpet for $4,000. You're losing money in that rental property by the cash flow standards. If we have to ball in, or if we have to do all 4 pieces, the YADA method, you might still be making money, but it doesn't look good for cash flow. But finding quality tenants is huge. So what I recommend before we get to anything on this, hire a great property manager. The plug that I'm going to make here is Hero Property Management. One of my buddies, his name's Zach Hallows. He runs the company. They have grown substantially. If you mention this video and me as a referral when you go get your rental property, they're going to waive the $500 startup fee just for you. So free benefit for you. All you got to do is call them today. Okay, so creating an appealing listing. Obviously, if you don't have an appealing listing, you're going to get no traffic and nobody is going to apply to rent that. So then you don't even get any tenants at all. The tenant screening process, Rentler.com right now has a background check program behind it that anybody can pay for while you're onboarding your tenants to apply for your rental property. So I don't know what it costs right now. We were using it in the past for about $35 every background check. I'm sure that's gone up for now or from then. But you want to make sure that you look into that. I would definitely do a national background check. I would do the evictions list and then a criminal background check. All 3 of those, Rentler has the capabilities to do all of those in one shot. Understanding the lease agreements, like I said in the kind of middle of this, if you don't want to learn all of the tenant regulations and rules to owning a rental property, you don't have to. Hire a great property manager. Like I said, Hero Property Management can take care of that for you. They understand the lease agreements because they have like 600 homes under management right now. Last time I spoke with them. And so they're really just growing and making sure that they provide a great service to their clients. But if you do want to learn all about it, I would understand that lease agreement backwards and forwards. There is a company right now called Utah Housing Association or Utah Rental Housing Association, something like that. They have a lease agreement that you can pay for that is nearly bulletproof for landlords. It's like 9 pages long, really crazy. Has tons of things in there to protect the landlord and a little bit about the tenants, of course. It's not always one-sided, but it is a very impressive document for landlords. So that is a place that I would go to if you're going to manage it for yourself. All right. Finding the perfect tenant is like online dating. You've got to swipe through a few profiles before you find one. A little left, a little right. Okay, the rental process. So I'm sure you can read everything on this screen. I'm just kidding. You probably can't see any of that. So if you have comments or questions about the process for the rental side, write those down below and I'll take time to answer all your questions that have to deal with the rental process. But we're going to kind of break this down to about about 4 steps. Like I said, every single rental process has so many moving parts, and so it's very hard to define every single key piece into a rental process. So we're going to break it down into chunks that are easy to manage. So the first one, listing your property. Getting that thing listed with great photos and make sure that it looks amazing online, super beneficial, because if it looks terrible online, nobody is going to click on that. In today's age where it's all digital, I'm sure you guys have been looking at YouTube or anywhere and you're like, wow, that ad looks terrible. I'm not even going to click on it, or you even close the program altogether. But anything that looks terrible online, most likely you're looking away, you're getting distracted, you're not clicking on it, so it doesn't work. So you need to make sure that your listing looks amazing. The tenant screening process, like I said, during that tenant piece, that is super important, because your tenant, a bad choice on a tenant can turn your profit to zero and negative very, very quickly. And then signing the lease, that is the exciting part. If you turn it over to a property manager, though, they're going to sign it for you. You just get to like, yay, we got a tenant, awesome, and they get to move in. So that's always a fun time as well. And then lastly, handling maintenance requests. So I have had a lot of people on some of our videos that they're like, oh, rental process or rental property is not just about making money. And I'm like, oh, I know a lot about this. And I know it's not all about making money. And they're like, you're making a nice house or giving somebody a place to live. And I'm like, yes, I understand that, because if I give them a crappy place to live, guess what? They don't treat it that well, and then they move out. And who does that serve? That serves no good purpose. So we try not to do that. But the handling maintenance requests, what I was going to get to on that is, if you're managing it for yourself, get ready for the 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning phone calls when the water's just running through the kitchen. And the bad part about water, as you guys know, is it penetrates everything. It goes under cabinets, it goes up walls, down walls. Sheetrock loves to soak it in. Carpet especially just drinks it up. The pad, crazy. Subfloor starts to be squishy and bubbly. So water is really bad. So what I'm saying with handling those maintenance requests is, if you don't have the personal expertise about home maintenance, don't put yourself into that position. Put somebody else into that position. Hire a great property manager. I know this video is sounding like a plug for property manager, and it's my buddy, but honestly, we have a property manager that manages our property in Missouri. I wish I could hire my friend for that one, but we hired one out there because it's long distance. The home that I have literally across the street from me, and you guys can pull it up on the county maps, I live at 1122 East Hatch Row, and the property that I own as a rental is 1127 East Hatch Row. You can pull it up right now. I literally live across the street from it. It's kitty corner to me like this. And I have Zach Hallows, my buddy, managing that house for me, because these things I don't want to take care of. I want to have him, the professional, understand where he's at in the market, understands the process, the lease agreements, the handling maintenance requests. I'm sure he's not handling them. He has people that handle those as well. But the fact of the matter stands, I am not the guy for the 2 o'clock phone call. So I don't handle those maintenance requests. Good luck if you are out there handling them for yourselves. The first year that you're doing this and handling it for yourself, and I'm like, oh, I'm saving so much money. Your first one of these calls that goes bad, you'll be like, I should have hired somebody. Okay, let's move on. Common mistakes to avoid. There's a lot. I'm not going to get into a lot of the nitty gritty, but there are a lot of common mistakes to avoid. First, neglecting tenant screening. This is the craziest stuff. I have one horror story all about this. There was a time that I was working for the Utah Housing Association of Salt Lake City, or however they title it. Great place. Loved it. Loved my coworkers. It was amazing. I got to be the landlord liaison for some of the housing authority's programs. Oh, there it is. Housing Authority of Salt Lake City. So that's where I was working. So I got to liaison with the landlords to help them understand our programs and get some tenants in there. Well, there were a lot of landlords, and I I didn't recognize or I didn't understand this was happening, but there are a ton of landlords in Utah and probably across the nation that don't background check. They just put somebody in there. First person with some cash, they just put them in there. I've seen it more than one time. It was crazy. So I don't recommend that. I don't recommend neglecting tenant screening. Pay for the background check or have your tenant that's applying pay for the background check. If they're going to pay for it and they know they're paying for it, most likely it's going to be good because then they wouldn't fork out the money if they knew it was going to be bad. So you might just get a good tenant based on the fact alone that they are going to apply and they know that they're going to have to pay for their own background check. That's not a fail-safe, of course, but that helps. Failing to address maintenance. Like I just said, water is the nuisance of all nuisances. So if you have a tiny little pinhole leak and it's like, oh, it'll be fine, and then the water goes down into the basement or soaks a bunch of sheetrock, it can get expensive really, really quick. So anytime my property manager is like, hey, I have this set of maintenance for you, I'm like, great, cover everything. Let's get it all done. I don't want any issues. Now, some of that's a little grain of salt because sometimes it's something on the outside that can't be completed until the summer or whatever. There's tons of factors in there. But if it's like water in the house, you bet I'm going to be getting that fixed. All right, setting unrealistic expectations. Everybody and their dog right now on YouTube is like, oh, make money in rental property. You're going to get rich. You're going to start getting money. Like, you're going to fill your pockets. It's going to be amazing. Just make it rain. None of that is true. There are people out there that can make this work really well and run with it really fast and get wealthy pretty fast. That's not the case in most of these examples. So what I like to try to set is a realistic expectation of what your net worth can do year over year. And then I set that with the caveat of this is what your cash flow number feels like because it might be pretty small. This is what your net worth feels like after year. So it just kind of compounds and gets your net worth going. But you probably will not be making money hand over fist on the cash flow side. There just aren't that many unicorn deals out there for everybody to find. You might find a rental property that starts making $1,000 a month the first set or the first rental month, but that's so few and far between. So what I try to set is we would like our first rental to make about $100 a door, which means if it's a duplex, you're making $200, so 100 here, 100 here. If it's a fourplex, you're making 400, 100 for each door, and that's a good ballpark for to get started in the rental property side. All right, forgetting your legal obligations. If you're going to manage this sucker for yourself, I just say good luck. Most likely, you won't read the regulations. You won't become a professional at it. You will get sued, and you'll probably sell your rental property the first time that happens. And you'll say, "Great, that didn't work for me. It was terrible." And you'll tell 10 people that it was the most sucky experience ever. I'm going to say that it was really a sucky experience for you because you didn't become a professional or you didn't hire one. So the legal obligations are huge. They are wildly different from state to state. So anybody that's watching this, if you're from California, you can let us know if it's a tenant-friendly state or a landlord-friendly state. It's a tenant-friendly state. Utah is a heavily landlord-friendly state. It's a great place to own rental property. Okay, why do some landlords make mistakes? Because they don't want their properties to be too perfect. Oh, that's cute. All right, this is the Q&A session. If you guys have questions about this, leave them down below, of course, but we're going to stop the video here in a second for the rest of the people here that they can answer or ask questions. But before we leave, make sure you guys check out the 4-part mini-series class. The next class is going to be part 4, all about mortgages. What is a mortgage? What is leverage? Credit scores, finances. It's going to be awesome. And the reason why we do part 4 with mortgages is because it tees it up for the next 3 classes of how you can be bankable to buy your first house, sell your next house, to buy your next one, or to get a rental property. Super huge thank you. I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe, and hit that bell notification down below. You guys are helping our YouTube channel grow, and I really am appreciative of everybody that's helping us. So if you want to though, you can Google Fitness Realty. You can take a look at us. We have almost 200 5-star reviews right now, just localized in the Utah market. We are about to start branching out outside of Utah, and so I'm hoping that we can continue to grow and go beyond the state lines. But Fitness Realty does have our events. Like I said, we have our 4-part mini-series class, and then right now we are doing a $500 gift drawing. So all you got to do is use that QR code that's up on the screen. We are going to give away a $500 gift. We just did this gift right before Black Friday. It was super amazing. The person that won it actually got to get a personalized gift. So what's nice about that is you get to answer a bunch of questions. We will personalize the gift for you. Like if you're a dog person, a cat person, if you love alcohol, coffee, tea, if you just like tech things, there's a lot of different customizing that we can do. So please sign up for the $500 gift drawing. That helps us get the word out and helps get us some exposure. So I'm very grateful. Thank you, everybody. My name is TJ McClelland. I am with Fitness Realty. This has been our rental property class from the 4-part mini series. I appreciate you all. Thanks, and we'll see you another time.